lifestyle. We are live. They call me the honey badger because I give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business. And today we have a couple of Q&As we're going to get to in about 20 minutes. Right now I'm running a little bit behind, so I won't be staring at the camera. I won't be looking at comments for about 20 minutes. But I do want to get to is a couple things that have come up in the last couple of days. First off, I understand that there are a couple of very upset people in the RV YouTuber space, but it feels like nobody has gone and done their actual homework on the motorhome sales ban. To me, it's now blowing up to where you have a few YouTubers out there that are now saying there's a motorhome sales ban in 11 states now. The problem is no one actually looked at my video outside of one person. One YouTuber out of the entire thing that I know of, I could be wrong, but only one YouTuber that I personally know has looked at that video and hasn't made a comment video at all, because that person actually came close to covering the same thing I did. Missing a few things, but still. The biggest problem we're going to have in 2025 is too much propaganda and not enough straight evidence of things. Media, in all its form and glory, is just basically become a sales and propaganda machine. I was watching at the gym yesterday. I was watching this incredible show that is done by Dr. Phil, the Dr. Phil Network, kind of like the Oprah Network. It's the Dr. Phil Network. And it was talking about some interesting things about child development. And then it segued into selling some book and program. Then I go over to the weight section of the gym, and they got another TV. And the TV is a morning show. I don't remember if it's CBS or NBC. And it's all decked out in holiday stuff. And for 20 of the 30 minutes that I was sitting there lifting weights, it's a bunch of freaking anchors from this TV network trying to sell products. And they have a beautiful disclaimer at the bottom of the screen, pretty small, but you can still read it, that says that basically NBC or CBS or whoever it was makes money off the sale of those products. So it's no longer become about the news, it's become about selling stuff. It's no longer become about talking and telling the actual real story and giving maybe some opinionated highlights of things. It's now become a sales and propaganda machine. Whether it's political propaganda, corporation propaganda, stock market propaganda. And I figured something out. Because yesterday, yet again, another large YouTuber, a large RV YouTuber, did a video saying that there's a motorhome sales ban. So for 4 weeks now, 4 weeks, everybody has jumped on the motorhome sales propaganda bandwagon. And you listen to the video, and it's 20 minutes of stuff that's untrue. And of course, this video is sponsored by. It's just ridiculous. And this is everywhere. This isn't just in the RV industry. This is everywhere anymore. But I found something interesting. And the interesting thing I found was yesterday, I found an incredible little tidbit on TikTok And it's a guy who's sitting there talking about how Donald Trump is going to save the economy. Okay. And then I flip over to Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is a big real estate guy, if you don't know who he is, master salesperson. One of the guys that I kind of look up to. Read all his books. And Grant says, actually stitched this guy and goes, Donald Trump can't save the economy until the economy crashes. So here's a couple of facts for you guys. This is the facts for those of you that tell me that 2025 is going to be a way better year than 2024. This is a little fact spitting for the folks that think that the RV industry is going to have a boom year. This is in response to RVbusiness.com having a conservative estimate of slight growth in 2025. Now, that might have also come from RVIA, another propaganda group for the RV industry. So let's spit some game real quick. I've been told, especially in TikTok comments, oh, it's record holiday spending. Record holiday spending. Okay. How much of that is on credit cards? 70%? 75%? If people could not afford to go buy groceries, not 2 months ago, what makes you think that they can go afford Christmas presents in cash? Just saying. So how do you expect, if people cannot afford to buy groceries, here in December of 2024, they're putting their holiday dinner, their holiday plans, their holiday gifts all on credit. They don't have the cash to buy them. How do you expect those folks to have the credit and the ability to buy an RV in 2025? It's common sense. They estimate by the end of the holiday season, we will have $1.4 trillion in credit card debt. $1.4 trillion in personal credit card debt as a nation. We've never even come close to carrying that kind of debt, personal. Here's another thing to spit your guys' way. We haven't even seen the real estate crash yet. The real estate crash is coming next year. Warren Buffett just sold off a bunch of Bank of America stock because he knows that $2.7 trillion of commercial real estate loans are going to come mature by spring of 2025. Guys, that's not a small number. $2.7 trillion in commercial real estate is going to come due, meaning they got to get paid off. It's not like a regular mortgage, like a 30-year mortgage. What happens when commercial real estate goes down? Regular real estate gets affected. It doesn't get as affected as bad as it did in 08 or 9, but it gets affected. Now, is it going to affect the people that bought a home in 2015, 2016, 2019? No. It's going to destroy the people that bought in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and this year. If you bought a home in the last 4.5 years, you're the one that's going to get affected by that commercial real estate crisis that's going to occur. If you bought a home before then, you got nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. You're in prime position. So we haven't even hit rock bottom at all. We haven't hit rock bottom in the economy at all. And by the way, if you remove politics out of it, it didn't matter who won the election. We still have to go through this 2025 crisis. The difference is the only difference would be under Harris, it probably would have been a slower race to the bottom. With Trump, it's just going to go and crash. It's going to crash and burn so hard, people are going to get hurt. So if people do not have the ability, it's not wanting. People are going to want to. People are going to give themselves permission. Okay, because eventually Trump's going to cut taxes. More money's going to go into people's pockets. Okay, that's how the economy is going to recover. Is they're going to take money out of the government's hands and they're going to put it in the citizens' hands. That's how that's the cycle we go through. Okay, it's a political, economical cycle that we go through all the time. It's nothing new. Ronald Reagan put more money in people's pockets. George Bush Jr. put more money in people's pockets. Even Barack Obama, in his first term, put more money in people's pockets. So we have a political, economical cycle, and we're about to go through one that's really bad, and we have to pay the piper for it. And we haven't done that yet. And we're about to. So here's my message to all the propagandists. Here's my message to all the brand ambassadors that are, all the folks that, yes, Jason, the ad revenue chasers, okay? Stop talking about something that doesn't exist, okay? Here's proof positive that there's no such thing as a motorhome sales ban. The law that was passed, or I should say, let me rephrase that, the law that was manipulated by the California Air Resource Board in California has been in effect since January 1st, 2023. In essence, let me look around. Yep, there's motorhomes being sold in California for the last 2 years. Oh, by the way, 0 of them are electronic vehicles. That's because it doesn't affect the RV industry as long as the chassis manufacturers, by the weight standards, build the amount of chassis that are sold in California. Meaning, if they build 100 89,000 pound chassis, 8 of them have to be zero emission. It doesn't say, nor does it ever imply, that they have to be RVs. Amazon, which is probably the biggest here in California that uses electric vehicles for their shipping delivery, Amazon could buy all 8 of them, and it satisfies California's law. That's how simple it really is. That's as simple as that's explaining it like you're explaining it to a golden retriever. By the way, it doesn't say that they have to be electric. It says they have to be zero emissions vehicles. Toyota is doing that hydrogen car, or whatever the hell they call it. There are bus companies, aka for commercial buses and for residential buses and for school buses, that are doing natural gas, that are doing clean idle. These are considered, if you actually read through the entire thing, these are considered zero emission vehicles. So, if Freightliner decides to sell 100 chassis total, not RVs, chassis total, to California businesses, only 15 have to be zero emission. Clean idle, natural gas, whatever that looks like. And if they can't hit that number, technology's not there, maybe they're having recalls, whatever the case may be, they can buy credits, or they can have the secondary company, in this case, let's pick on Forest River for a second. Let's pick on Berkshire. Berkshire Motorhomes can go, hey, we'll pitch in and buy the credits if you build 20 buses for us. That's how simple the law is. That's how simple the law really is. It's not as complicated as a 25 to 30 minute video for ad revenue. So yes, Jason, ad revenue chasing. Not you, but there's a lot of other ones. And they keep popping up. And it's like, come on, guys. Oh, we read this on a website. Oh, we listened to this on a video. Oh, we contacted Newmar. We contacted Winnebago. We contacted Tiffin. Now, I'm not going to tell you, outside of Forest River, I'm not going to tell you who the other manufacturer is because I just told them I would keep it quiet. But there's another motorhome manufacturer reached out to me going, huh? Are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. Let me forward you the email. Forward them all the emails from all 6 states. The best one was the one from California because it explained everything like I'm basically a chihuahua. Because all I am is a little guy barking, yapping at people. So that's the reality of it. Now, how does this affect consumers? If we're going to have major problems in our RV economy in 2025, why would the RVIA, RVDA, RVbusiness.com, all these brand ambassadors, all these RV YouTubers that are very obviously connected to the RV manufacturers, not all of them, but a lot of them, why would you spread a lie? Why would you make it even harder? California is your #1 RV market. #1. Texas is #2. They go back and forth, #1, #2. Why would you put people's fears even further than they already are? When the the qualified buyer pool has shrunk pretty fast. And it's shrinking daily because of all the repossessions that are going on. Guys, when you voluntarily repossess your toy hauler or your truck or your boat, the only thing you're buying is maybe a house and a truck in 3 years or another car in 3 years. You're not buying another RV. When you repossess a vehicle, you're not buying an RV for 4 or 5 years. The RV industry loses you as a consumer for 4 to 5 years. Because no credit union and no bank that charges under 18% interest is going to give you a loan. I know that sounds harsh, but that's not meant to be directed at you. You got to do what you got to do. If you're hurting where 2 things are happening, either one, you're so upside down in your trade it ain't worth it. And this includes trucks, this includes boats. This isn't just RVs. If there are boats and there are motorhomes and there are trucks that you're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 upside down in because you paid $25,000 over sticker, you paid $30,000 over sticker on the truck. Do what you got to do for you and your family. Don't get stuck with an asset that's just going to drag you through the mud over the next couple of years. So I get it why people are voluntarily repossessing their vehicles. I get it. And these are 800 credit score people. These are not people who, on a whim destroy their credit. That's not these folks. These folks are not like this. This is a very hard decision for a lot of them. We lose them for 4 to 5 years. The family buyer that's got 3 kids that wants to go camping, they're not back in the market yet. Now, thank God some of the RV manufacturers have kind of figured that out and started gearing the construction and the manufacturing of their travel trailers and fifth wheels and motorhomes mainly geared towards retired couples because they're really the only buyer pool that is consistently in the market right now. And they represent, if I remember correctly, this is off the top of my head, about 38% of the RV buying pool, which is not a small number. But the other 62% of folks that buy RVs in a typical market, in a typical normal economy, in a typical normal situation, these folks have been in and out of the market sporadically for the last 2.5 years because of different things. At first, it was interest rates. When interest rates spiked up and just jacked up, right? Okay, I'm in. I understand it takes a while for people to adjust. Everybody thought it was something temporary and transitory. Then people figured out, oh crap, the honey badger was right. Interest rates are not going down. I said that multiple times, and they still haven't gone down. Not the way they should already have gone down. But that's a more complicated video. That's complicated. I'll do that next week. So then people started buying in 2023, helped get rid of the 22s. A lot, I'm going to tell you, a lot of it worked out really good. But then guess what happened? Inflation got really bad in the grocery store. Really bad in the grocery store. I know because I felt it. I chased my dream job. I'm in a situation that I'm way ahead of everybody else because I chose to go to zero real quick. But imagine how many more people in the next year or two is going to go to zero real fast. So how can you expect people, when they're spending money on their credit cards to buy food because they don't have the cash, how do you expect the family to go out and buy an RV? You can't. How do you expect them to go buy a boat, buy a truck, buy a nice SUV, not even a luxury SUV, a nice SUV? Last night, I had the pleasure of talking to a young lady while I was driving her for Uber. She works for a luxury car dealership. We're talking about supercars. She sells supercars for a living. Lamborghini, Maserati, Porsches. She specializes in selling exotic supercars. She even told me that the super rich that buy these cars have started to not buy them, but solely lease them. She told me that it's been a trend for about the last 6 months. Usually you get a mix. You'll get a mix of guys that lease them, and you get a mix of guys that buy them outright. She plainly told me, plain and simply, that almost 90% of the people that walk into the dealership now at that price point are no longer buying them. They are now leasing them. So why would the ultra rich, right now, why would the ultra rich lease their cars instead of buy these supercars? Because they know something's coming down the road and they don't want to get stuck with the car. They'd rather lease it and give it back in 2 or 3 years when things get better. Guys, follow the ultra rich. The ultra rich will tell you everything that's going to happen in an economy the very next year. When Warren Buffett sells off Bank of America stock, it tells you there's a financial crisis coming. When he's buying treasury bonds, he owns more treasury bonds than the U.S. government does. These guys know. It's going to be a disaster. All right, so we got the second phone. Let's look at some of the notes I made for emails for our Q&A today. Dear HB, we live in Northern California and we're looking at buying a diesel pusher. We have begun the process of test driving them. We hopefully will plan on buying one before the end of the year to save some money on our taxes. However, I'm starting to get really worried because of all of the lemon law talk on YouTube. There are specific brands that they say to stay away from because you can't lemon law them. But then I looked at your video that you did about a year and a half ago, and it said the lemon law has to do with where you buy it. Can you be a little more specific about this? Yes. So, good morning, guys. Sorry. So, lemon law is based on the city and the state that you buy any vehicle in. Car, boat, RV, okay? So California is the most consumer-friendly lemon law state, next to, if I remember correctly, Nevada. So if you go and you fly from California to Texas to buy a motorhome and you end up buying a lemon, you have to go back to Texas to lemon law it. Here's a perfect example. My brother just recently lemon lawed a Ford F-150. Okay. He moved to Oregon, had a major problem so bad that they could never figure it out. He had to drive back to California and go back and forth in California to lemon law it because that's where he bought it. So lemon law isn't based on where you live, it's based on where you buy it. Now, what you guys are referring to is there's a video, okay? There's a video by an attorney who talks about that there's no protection on RVs. If you listen to that video and listen to that attorney, he is talking specifically about states like West Virginia, Indiana, and Ohio. And if you listen to what he says in that video, he says he does not know the lemon laws in every single state. And he was referring to 3 cases where people traveled from one state to another because they saved money and they end up with a lemon and they can't get it bought back. Okay. So I'll give you an example. There are several no buyback states. Texas, Montana. Yes, Montana looks very healthy to go up and buy something because there's no sales tax. So you go get that Montana LLC, right? But again, there's consequences to price shopping because there's more to the RV process than the price. Everybody focuses in on the price instead of looking at, okay, so this state has it for 20 grand less than every other state out there. Great. There's got to be a problem with the motorhome or there's got to be a problem with the state for them to want to do that. What are they charging extra? When I get there, how much is going to get charged? How much are they really going to fix? Is it really 20 grand less? If I have a major problem where I have to lemon law it, do they have a lemon law? So folks that drive from Florida to Indiana because it's, oh, well, I got family up there. It'll be an easy ride. Indiana, if you have a major problem, you ain't getting that thing bought back. So that's where lemon law is so screwed up because it's based on the state you buy a vehicle in. And every state has different lemon laws. So the highest priced state is California, but it's got the best consumer protection laws in the United States. So you have to make that decision on your own, okay? Thank God for you. You could buy a diesel pusher in California. No problem. There's no motorhome sales ban. Hopefully that helped. Dear HB, we are sorry to hear about your situation. It seems like you've got a pretty good attitude about it. We're going to Tampa Bay to hopefully buy an RV during the Tampa Bay show. We are probably going to stay away from Brinkley and Grand Design just based on some of the things that have been said on other YouTube channels. But you have an interesting take on it every single time. Would you buy a travel trailer from Brinkley or Grand Design for 2025? They didn't end up on your top or bottom 5 list. Can you go over it? Well, first of all, Transcend did make it on my top 5 list. They were number 5, okay, for 2025. Would I buy a travel trailer? Um, if it was priced right, yes. Brinkley, I don't have a problem with Brinkley. My problems with Brinkley are that they're overpriced for what they really are. Okay, I've put my hands on them. I've kind of gone through them like I would with a fine tooth comb, trying to figure out, okay, what really is different besides the marketing, besides the interior design, besides the no waste of space, which I feel is very impressive. What else is the differences? Not much. So for what it's like going between Coach and Louis Vuitton, right? I think that's a bad example. That's a bad example. It's like Coke and Pepsi, except Coke, let's say Coke was 40% more than Pepsi. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. I'm going to go with the cheaper brand. I wouldn't rule out Grand Design in the travel trailer market. I wouldn't rule out Brinkley if you're willing to spend more money than what we really should spend on a travel trailer. But there's so many options. I mean, you could link up. You could pretty much go Grand Design Solitude travel trailers, Brinkley, Alliance Delta, if I remember correctly the name. Hopefully I got that right this time. Rockwood Flagstaff by Forest River, Keystone Cougar travel trailers. Don't forget about Outdoors RV. Don't forget about Arctic Fox. There's a lot. You have to understand when it comes down to buying a fiberglass higher end type of travel trailer, there's not a lot of differences in the way they're built. There's only so many ways you can configure the travel trailer, and there's only so many things you could put on the travel trailer, and there's only so many ways you could build the travel trailer. So that being said, you got to make it your own personal decision. The only thing I would say is don't force it at the Tampa show. You could get the same deal at the Tampa Bay show a month later at your local dealer. The Tampa Bay show is a great place to go buy. It's not a great place to look. It's both. But what I wouldn't do is there's so much negative information about every brand on the internet. It's not just Grand Design. It's not just Brinkley. It's not just Alliance. It's not just Forest River. There's technicians on TikTok that bash the living crap out of Forest River. And there's people who bash Alliance. And there's people who bash this and bash that. There's very few down the middle technician and RV service YouTubers and TikTokers out there. And a lot of that has to do with, like my dad. My dad was an auto mechanic. My dad had a severe bias against Ford. When he was alive, my dad hated Ford. I owned, mostly until recently, last couple of years, I owned everything was either Toyota or Ford. My dad would be spinning his grave if he knew that. My dad was a Chevy man. Fords are a pile of crap. And that's from his run-ins with Ford trucks, Ford cars as an auto mechanic. But then you go to a guy that has trouble and problems with Dodge and Ram. So everybody has a biased opinion on the service side because of experiences that they've had. Not because they're mean and nasty, just experiences that they have had that say to them, oh, don't buy a Brinkley because Brinkley's fall apart as soon as they come to the factory, from the factory to the dealership lot. Don't buy a Keystone Outback because, the slides have problems or whatever the case may be. There's a couple of really good service people. Probably the best one that doesn't get a lot of recognition because He's got a lot of subscribers, but he doesn't get a lot of views or get a lot of attention from YouTube because he's too down the middle, is Dustin Simpson. And there's a lot of guys like him all over TikTok, Instagram, YouTube that are very down the middle, give you just an overall general opinion of things from a technician point of view. So I wouldn't just depend on that. The other thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't stop hiring these third-party inspector people. Okay, it's a waste of your money. It really is. The best advice I can give anybody is call a mobile technician. Okay, like let's say you guys go to the Tampa Bay show. You guys decide, you know what? I'm gonna buy a Brinkley travel trailer. Perfect. On the day you're going to go do your walkthrough, your orientation, schedule it around hiring a mobile technician to come out and do the walkthrough with you or do the walkthrough prior. A mobile technician who's been working on them for 10, 15, 20 years will go, when they see a trailer or they see a fifth wheel, they're going to go straight beat to it, and they're going to tell and communicate with the technician that's working on it that the problems. They know what to look for. Okay? There are some third-party inspectors that were technicians. I would hire them. But a mobile tech is going to give you somebody who's already a technician that works on them daily, that isn't affiliated with a dealership, is the best way to go to do your inspection or your third-party inspection. Best route to go. Okay? Hopefully that answered your question. Boy, we had a lot of emails, man. I can't get to everybody today. I apologize. We're back! Saturdays are back! Dear HB, we were at a campground in Tennessee over the weekend, and we saw a family watching your podcast on a TV in their campground, and we got curious. So we have a couple questions because we hear that you do live streams on Saturdays. Two questions come to mind. Number one, we're looking to possibly get rid of our 2021 Keystone Cougar and go into something smaller. We're looking to downsize from 44 feet down to something closer to 28 or 29 feet. This has been very tough. It's hard to go when you're a full-time RVer. It's very tough to go from something very large to something very small, at least small in comparison. How would you go about doing it? And what would you suggest we do to be able to get an accurate trade value? We owe $77,000 on the fifth wheel. Okay. So first off, you're at least $40,000 upside down in your trade. That's if you actually just sold it on your own. Downsizing makes it harder. So here's what I would suggest. Wherever you're going to go to commit to, first of all, I would commit and do this before the end of the year. If you're going to trade in now, it's never going to be worth more money than it is worth right now. Okay, so I would do it by the end of December. Period and report. Number two, this is tough. The first thing I would do if I were in your shoes is I would, before you go shopping for anything, I would go through all your stuff in your Keystone Cougar fifth wheel, and I would take everything that you haven't used while you've been on the road, put it in a box or several boxes and bags, and take it to the Goodwill. See how much stuff you have left after that. Then after you're done with that, before Christmas arrives, how much, watch this, how much of the stuff that's left that you actually use daily, and then cut that down in half. Get to the point where you have empty cabinets, empty basement storage space, empty outside kitchen space, a half empty closet. Get to the point where you can see daylight in the coach. Then go shopping. Because then it's going to make it easier for you to visualize where you're going to put things. Now, if I were in your shoes, in your case, since you're probably going to downsize to a travel trailer more than likely, if you're going to go travel trailer, I would hit dealerships that have 2023 and 2024 Grand Design travel trailers, Alliance travel trailers, and depends on what Brinkley does and Forest River does. But I would look at Forest River, Rockwood, and Flagstaff, fifth wheel, and travel trailer. And I would take your time with it, but I'd pull the trigger pretty quick. Like, don't pull the trigger on the first thing, but I would like do some serious like footwork at dealership lots right now, no matter where you are in the South, and just start doing that legwork now. So, first step, downsize. Second step, go hit the pavement hard. Have that hard discussion at night for a couple nights, and then go pull the trigger on something before December 31st. Now, I'm going to warn you, downsizing in a loan is extremely hard. You don't need all 40 grand if you got good credit, but you're going to need some cheddar, okay? I would make part of your decision, because you're full timing, so you probably don't realize what the interior color of your Cougar is. I would also focus in, like, I would find out if Alliance RV is still doing that customer rebate and see if they've doubled it. I would see if Winnebago is going to offer any customer rebates, because I heard a rumor last night that Grand Design RV is going to start offering a customer rebate, too little too late, on their travel trailers, not on their fifth wheels, but on their travel trailers. There are rumors out there that 2023 and 2024 Flagstaff and Rockwood, Forester, Rockwood, and Flagstaff fifth wheels and travel trailers have massive dealer cash on them. So I would look at that. Those are the type of things I would look at right now. And then just realize downsizing your coach ain't going to downsize your payment. If that was your goal. It sounded like that wasn't your goal. It sounded like your goal was just you didn't want to lug around that big ass fifth wheel anymore. So, okay, we still got 17 minutes. Look at that. We're doing pretty good. Got some time for some others. Dear Badger, we are really sorry to hear about your situation. We kind of figured something was going on because every single one of your videos have been inside your car or out on a beach. Why is it that there is so much negativity surrounding the RV industry and quality? I liked your explanation about the work schedule of the workers, but it seems like a lot of people don't understand the concept of they're building less, so the quality's lower. Can you be a little more specific? Because even in my head, it sounds preposterous that you're building less and your quality's worse. Okay. This is very simple to explain. I'm actually planning on doing a full-length video on this channel next week. Okay. let's say let's use the number 20. 20 is the normal amount of travel trailers that brand X builds in a normal economy. 20 a day for 5 days. Okay. So it's obvious. The obvious part is when the demand goes up, like it did during COVID, and now they're trying to shove 30 or 40 out the door a day. It makes sense why quality took an absolute back seat and took a crap in 2020, 2021, and even early 2022. Okay, so that all makes sense to folks. Now let's go reverse engineer it. Let's say that 20 gets cut down to 10. Now let's take the fact that not only did it get cut down to 10 a day, but now they got cut down to 3 days a week. So you're used to building, you're a builder of an RV, you're used to building things 5 days a week, 20 a day, which means you're making a paycheck, which means your mortgage is paid, you have food on the table, stress level is lower. Okay. Now let's throw these folks and cut their hours down to 3 days a week and 10 units a day. Okay. The money's not, the paycheck's not good anymore. The paycheck's not covering their bills. So what do? Well, they go find another job the other 4 days a week. They go take a night job. They start taking classes. And then you're starting to see some on and off on again. Then you got some times where they're being called and told go home after 4 hours. So the inconsistency of work and having to take on other jobs, take on other things. We are human beings. So our quality and standard of work when we're tired, stressed, and our routine is broken is significantly lower. And this is in general. This is across any industry. But we're talking about RVs. So when service guys have been talking to me about how crappy everything has been, from Forest River to Brinkley to Winnebago to Grand Design, everything coming October, November, and even now in December has been just junk and not put together and not being put together right, and they're having to finish it at the dealership and just all the boiling over frustrations over it. It's because they're not building enough RVs to keep the quality consistent. It's too much of a roller coaster ride. Okay, this week we're building 10 a day, and then the next week, okay, we're building 6, and then they build 4 of them, and they're like, wait, stop, go home, we'll see you in 2 days. This is why West Coast production is being shut down. So Thor already shut down the Idaho plant that they had. Forest River shut down California. There are talks that I'm being told that there's talks by Forest River, Keystone, and other manufacturers, not Outdoors RV, just the big boys, that they're going to shut down their plants in Oregon and they're going to send everything back to Indiana. They're not doing that because they really want to. They're doing it because they know that their quality is absolute shit right now. Worse than it's been since COVID. So how do you get your quality back up? Well, you get your quality back up by getting your workforce more work. And since there isn't a big enough RV community out there that's out there buying RVs, you don't need Oregon, you don't need California, you don't need Idaho, you don't need New Mexico, and you don't need Washington State, which is going to piss off the West Coast dealers because, oh my God, we're going to pay more freight. You know what I have to say to West Coast dealers that could complain about freight? That's what I have to say. There's a good guy in the industry. His name's Red. Okay, he's a good guy, and Red and I had a conversation a couple years ago when I was working for him, and the conversation went like this: West Coast dealers sometimes can be idiots, because let's say a Cherokee Wolf pup, Anyway, gets built in Oregon, and then you have a Cherokee Wolf pup that's built in Indiana, and they get shipped to California. They land at about the same price because it costs more money to build the coach in Oregon than it does in Indiana. Yeah, it saves on freight. So the only time it really saves you anything is if you actually go pick up the units yourself. It doesn't save you really much. It doesn't save you that much. It's tripping over tripping over dollars to save pennies. I mean, that's realistic. So if you want your quality to go up, you have to get more work to your main workforce. And I know it sounds shitty, but their main workforce is in Indiana. It's not in Oregon or California. So it's not anything personal against the people that were working for Forest River and Keystone, all these places on the West Coast. It's not personal. It's if they don't get their quality up, they're going to start pissing dealers off, and they're going to piss off. They're going to piss off not only their dealers, but they're going to piss off their consumers again. And then they're going to prove all these people that yell and scream that every RV is a piece of shit. They're going to prove them right. So how do you combat that? They're doing the right thing. It may not be the right thing for the people that were making a paycheck, but it's the right thing for the industry, and it's the right thing for the community, and it's the right thing for the dealership base. It's amazing that, I've been called some interesting names on Facebook, okay, by RV YouTubers that, I'm just full of crap. I know both sides of it. It's not like I don't know both sides. I understand both sides. By the way, before I do the next one, I don't know if anybody will watch this later on or not, but I'd like to give Forest River XLR a shout out. I'm not going to go into details or anything like that, but I received communication from them because they paid attention to my top 5, bottom 5 list. And apparently, some people over there have been following the channel and following the podcast for a while. And I like what they had to say. And, I'm going to tell you guys, they're listening. Pete Legal was listening, God rest his soul. I know of several other executives that are listening. They're listening, guys. Don't think they're not listening. Don't think that they're not paying attention. I thought they weren't. I'm little old cockroach. I'm this little tiny speck of dust in the middle of the vast world of YouTube. And yet, they listen. They pay attention. Okay? And let's also give, and I know I'm going to get some shit for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Let's give Don Clark a little bit of credit. Okay? I don't think he handled the whole frame failure and frame flex thing well at all. But I think that once he has settled into his new role at Winnebago, he's going to have an opportunity to turn around Winnebago towables. Let's see if he can do it. Okay? Let's give him some credit that he didn't. It takes a lot to be pulled from your project, okay, your baby, because basically when Grand Design sold the Winnebago, the reins were given to Don to run the company. Winnebago gave him the reins, okay? With all the bullshit, all the controversy, all the wrongdoings on the customer service end, all the problems that Grand Design has had on the fifth wheel lineup, all the pointing of fingers at Lippert, all the pointing of fingers at Grand Design. Let's give Don Clark some credit. As a politician, I think he did a pretty good job not causing a scene, taking it in stride. I mean, you're pretty much being shown the curb out of your office and into a new position with pretty much a struggling brand and asked to basically wave your little hand and try to put some kind of fairy dust on Winnebago towables in not Grand Design, but I'm talking just the Winnebago brand only, and try to rebuild it, which they've been trying to do for over a decade. We used to make jokes about it at Giant RV. Okay. The rep that was there, her name was Jen. She was awesome, but we used to make jokes to her all the time. Um, if you guys don't know, the old Sunnybrook company was what is what considered Winnebago towables. If you actually go look, I don't know if it's changed, but I remember when I was selling them, it didn't say Winnebago Industries. It said built by Sunnybrook. Okay. So it's the old Sunnybrook brand, which actually was an okay brand. All right, we got 4 minutes left. So, but let's give him some credit. I've given him a lot of shit over the last year. Let's give him some credit too. Dear HB, we went through the factory tour a while back ago of Riverstone. Riverstone is very, very impressive. We liked what we heard. We liked the look of the frame. We liked everything about it. We heard you talk about a week or two ago that they're having axle and braking and tire problems. Do you have more detail about that? Not particularly. I don't have more detail because I haven't gotten a hold of the service guys. So I had 8 people reach out to me that are having major axle braking and tire problems with Riverstone fifth wheels, year model 2023 to year model 2025. And it seems like a very similar story. Now, 3 of the 8 people that have reached out to me gave me the service center's number where their rig is at. And I don't know those guys at these service centers. I've left a couple of voicemails. I've sent some emails out to the dealership. I don't know the dealership owner or the principal or whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to get some guys from Keystone, Jayco, and some of the motorhome companies that are on that lot to see if they can get the people to call me back, because I would just like some more detailed information about it. All I know is the pictures that have been sent to me disgust me, because Riverstone was my favorite fifth wheel to sell. Lot to talk about, great story. One of the few times that Forest River has attempted to do something over the top. Their best fifth wheel, in my mind, is a tie between Rockwood and Cedar Creek, which Rockwood is also for Flagstaff as well. This was an opportunity for Forest River to reach above the Cedar Creek line, and I thought they've done a great job. So until I have more details about it, I'm just going to mention it, because that way people understand when they go buy a Riverstone fifth wheel that they need to watch out for these axle issues, braking issues, and the tire issue that a pretty good amount of people are starting to have. Just like with frame failure / frame flex, it started out very small and now it's blown into this balloon of a giant. So I'm hoping that Forest River, Riverstone, and the segment manager or the VP or the GM or whoever that may be is paying attention to what happened to Grand Design and doesn't let this blow out of proportion with Riverstone. Because if they do, then it's just proof positive that buying anything over 150 grand just ain't worth it in the fifth wheel market. They might as well stick to the mid majors like Sabre, Palomino, Columbus up by Palomino, Forest River, Flagstaff, Rockwood, Keystone Cougar, your alliance products. It just basically would prove that going to the level of purchasing a Brinkley or a Lux or a Mobile Suites or a Solitude, it's just not worth the money. So we'll see how Riverstone responds. We'll see if this dealership, because it's interesting, because the Grand Design guys, the guys I'm able to talk to that service Grand Designs and service the frames, they're willing to talk to me left and right. The Riverstone, the dealership where three of these Riverstones are at, isn't getting back to me. Now that's a possibility. It's the holiday season. Maybe they don't know who I am, which is very possible because again, I'm this little speck of a cockroach in the middle of annoying everybody else because I'm an annoying screwball mother trucker. Um, he's like, okay. I'm gonna do this one last one, then I gotta go because I gotta go do laundry, and then I gotta turn on the Uber app. Dear HB, we are very, very sorry for what you're going through. We follow several RV YouTubers across the platform. Also, we watch a lot of TikTok. We have a list of our favorites, um, but we also want to let you know that we have unfollowed and stopped watching several of them after this entire motorhome sales ban nonsense was being talked about. However, we also have run into several YouTubers that seem to like to use you as a punching bag and use you as an example of things. We don't find you to be that way, but can you give us two things? Number one, who are your top 5 RV YouTubers? And number two, what do you say to those that want to use you as a punching bag? My top 5 RV YouTubers. Well, I'd have to say number one, Jason at RV Miles is at the top of the list somewhere. I'm not going to put him in any kind of order, but I would say he'd be at the top of the list. I think Jason does a really good job. I think Jason, for the most part, does the best he can with the information that he is provided and given. And I think he gives a pretty good, fair assessment of things. I think he's probably, when Jason says something, even if he's wrong, even if the information he has is incomplete, he is very acknowledgeable about that. He acknowledges and gets to the point. Jason does, even though Jason is sponsored, he's sponsored by a mattress company, okay? Whole different world than a lot of these other RV YouTubers. Um, I would have to go, he wasn't on my list, but he's been on my list lately. JD from Big Truck Big RV. I think JD, even though he was putting a really crap, the whole Lippert thing was a terrible thing, and I gave him a lot of crap about it. I gave him a ton of crap about it, and I think he kind of understood my point. And then he turned around and started wanting to do this project, and I think he's still working on the project where, have independent, because one of his ideas is to have independent, non brand ambassador type YouTubers form together and hold the industry more accountable to their quality. So I think his heart's in the right place. So I would definitely go. So I'd go Jason RV Miles, JD at Big Truck Big RV. Even I have to go Crappy RV. I love that guy. That guy's hilarious. And if man, I mean, just what he's the type of guy I could see myself having a beer with. Really could. As much as I give him crap, and kind of don't like his style. I do appreciate some of the things he does say, and that's Matt's RV reviews. Um, there's just some things that Matt does and Matt says that I kind of go, or things that Matt doesn't say But I think overall Matt's heart is in the right place and has always been in the right place. And if you actually look at the history of his channel, sometimes he's with a corporate RV dealership, and sometimes he's an independent guy walking around just being him. This is live Brad Miller. Yes, absolutely. Um, so I think Matt very much. Um, I don't really have a fifth. Nobody I could think of off the top of my head. Um, yeah, I mean that's your four. What do I say to the people that talk crap about me? Um, I don't care. I have my own things I'm going through. I could care less what some knucklehead thinks. Um, you know, it's funny. I was going to join three Facebook groups, not three Facebook groups over the weekend. So I hit the thing and answered all the questions to all three. And then like 12 hours later, I like deleted them. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got so much other things going on in the world that, every day between the phone calls I make, the YouTube videos, the podcast, the TikTok, then to driving Uber, then trying to, basically balance in between charging the car to call different dealers, call different service guys, get everybody's kind of a assessment of what's going on day to day, week to week. Um, trying to get a hold of some of the manufacturers and some of the guys and the smaller manufacturers to see what they're seeing on the service side, as far as warranty parts and shipping, and talking to OEMs that for like solar panels and stuff, see what their ETAs are, see if there's any recalls that are not being announced yet on Nitsta. I mean, just my day is so packed every single day. It's like a 17-hour, 18-hour day, and then I sleep. And then I try to find time an hour a day to go to the gym, so that way I actually don't get there. I mean, I already got the dad bod and the beer belly, even though I don't drink anymore. Um, so to those that want to talk, and excuse my language, but for those of you who want to talk shit about me, I'm good. Go right on ahead. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. You know. Um, would have it bothered me a year ago? Yeah, but I kind of got over it. You got to have really thick skin to put yourself out there on any platform and say something. YouTube people are very kind, respectful. Man, you guys should look at the TikTok comments I get. I got into a pissing match with an RV technician that is very popular on YouTube because he didn't like that I put. So I got some Keystone travel trailers on my top five, and I have some on my bottom five. The guy decided to pick on me over fifth wheel toy haulers. I put Keystone as number five best for 2025, not 2023, not 2022, not 2021, but 2025. Man, he got into a piss. Him and I got into a pissing match over it. And it was like all I did was, okay, bud, no problem. If you're a technician and you hate Keystone Raptor and Keystone Fusion, I'm in. Why don't you make your own top five video and let me see what your top five are? The guy got into excuse my language, but a freaking pissing match with me over it. And I'm like, and then I go to his channel. His channel's got like a 235,000 followers, but his videos have between 200 views and 2,000 views. And then you go to my TikTok, and I've got 56,000 followers, and the average video gets around 70,000 views. So you can tell, probably it's one of those situations where when people are desperate for attention, they're gonna do desperate things. Okay, you know when it, And I know this because I went through this. I went through this. I had a video that I did back in mid 2022, and it went viral. It was a short. It went viral on YouTube. The early days when I had my first week of doing TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and I think it was Snapchat at the time. Okay. Between all 5 of the major platforms, I got like 35 million views on this 60-second video I did. And it was like an adrenaline rush. It like propped me up. I got big head, big chest. And then every video I posted after that, I try to replicate it. And I keep staring at my phone at YouTube Studio, and I'd get deflated, like, holy crap, man. I just got 35 million views total between all these platforms. Why is this next video only getting 500? Why is this next video only getting 60? Why is this next video only doing this and doing that? I started getting angry, and I started making desperate content rather than educating, which is what got me to where I am. So I actually went backwards in mid 2022. And if you go back to 2022 and you go back to my videos then, and I'm talking about post generator ban. I'm talking about me going back to work at Camping World when I worked at Camping World in Vacaville, okay? Before I took the coachman job. Back before, right around that time, if you go look at my videos, they're like 2-minute walkthroughs with a bunch of like weird edits and weird shit in them. And it wasn't educational at all. It was like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, because I'm trying to do all this retention editing because I was trying to take and stick my arm with this adrenaline shot again of going viral. When, when you've been doing it 10 years, okay, so let's look at Matt's RV reviews. Let's look at Josh the RV Nerd, okay? They've been doing it for a decade or more. I'm pretty sure they went through that. I bet you they went through that. I bet you every creator, I bet you Jason at RV Miles went through that at some point in his life. I think every creator, even in no matter what the niche is, goes through that. So when you have to talk crap about people on a daily basis with it not being informative or educational, dealing with a product, dealing with things of that nature, and you're doing it consistently every day, it's for views. When you talk about debunked information on a daily basis, or you try to recreate somebody else's viral video, here's a great thing. Let's say creator A tells everybody that next year they're going to build an electric motorhome and it's going to be $20,000. And it gets debunked, but that video goes viral, gets millions of views. Then other creators see that and go, oh, he or she got 50 million views. What if I could get like just 5 million of them? So I'll recreate that person's video, even though it's debunked information. I'll recreate it and get those 5 million views. So let's do the math on 5 million views, okay? I've done this with Liz Amazing's channel. She doesn't hide anything. She's freaking amazing. She's a nice lady. I could tell. She just, her and I don't see eye to eye about things, but that doesn't matter. She's brilliant when it comes to the whole YouTube thing. She's got it down to a science. So 5 million views. This is how YouTube works. Divided by 1,000 because they pay per 1,000 views. It's called CPM RPM. Okay. So the average. Now let's use my RPM. Okay, my RPM is usually right around $8 per 1,000. So let's do $8. That means on 5 million views, if I got 5 million views on a video that on a topic that was debunked, but I still did it anyway and got 5 million views, that's 40 grand. Okay? It's 40 grand. Now, let's say it's $3.50. 17,500. This is a problem with every industry in the internet. It's not just the RV industry, it's every industry. You know how many times I've seen a video by a car guru guy that's a large creator and gets one guy, he did a video about 6-7 months ago, large creator in the car industry. You know he's got contacts everywhere. The guy has built them over an 8-year period of being on YouTube. And he does this great video, very informative about how the car industry is going to take a crap. Okay? It was a 30-minute video. I didn't watch the whole thing because it started to get boring, but the real important stuff he got in the beginning, like in the first 10 minutes. So you know damn well the guy is getting at least 50% of that 30-minute video viewed. So that video, he's got like 60 million followers, if I remember right. That video got almost 212 million views so far in 6 months. Well, you go look on YouTube, and there's now 30 other creators that are smaller than him that have recreated his video. With no new information. Same information he shared 6 months ago. Think Media is a great company. Think Media is a great growth podcast, YouTube, TikTok growth company. They're really good. Good speakers, good communicators. Every day it's the same shit. It's like they talk about the same thing every day. vidIQ, which is where I learned all these YouTube growth strategies and stuff that don't work. But Rob's still a great guy. I enjoy watching his videos. I watch him just for Rob. Same recycled information every single year for the last 4 years. Nothing new. So my point of the matter with that is we need more originality. You know, if Jason at RV Miles does a video that goes viral because it's got information about new solar panels, new lithium batteries, how it's going to affect the RV industry, you know, good educational content. It doesn't mean that every other creator in the RV space needs to replicate Jason's video. It's flattery, but at the same time, it's like, that's redundant. You know, if JD at Big Truck Big RV does a video about a newfangled fifth wheel hitch that is going to be industry changing, industry leading, and it gets 2, 3, 4 million views in a week, it doesn't mean that every other RV creator needs to watch that video and then go recreate it and recreate the thumbnail and recreate the title. I mean, it is a form of flattery in a lot of ways, but it's also like, really? You know, go study something else. I mean, I'm in process right now of gathering information for a video about the new carbon footprint. Not what we call carbon footprint, but what the new carbon footprint is going to be in America. It's something I'm studying because I'm going to do a video about it. Will it get millions of views? Probably not. But it's like I try to come up with something original or try to get something new as much as possible. I'm actually sick and tired of talking about the motorhome sales ban. I'm sick of it. I feel like it's doing nobody any freaking good that every day on the podcast or on the main channel, I got to bring the stupid thing up. Because every day some knucklehead wants to recreate a freaking video on debunked information. I got to the point where I'm hoping I'm going to talk to somebody next week. I have a phone call appointment with somebody next week from the California Air Resource Board, but I'm trying to see if I can get one of their representatives to come on the podcast so we could put this damn thing to bed. I mean, when I spoke to the last person that sent me the email, I thought that put it to bed. But no, yesterday somebody released another video. And then 3 days ago, someone released another video with the same regurgitated debunked baloney malarkey that's been said for like a month. And I'm like, stop it! Stop the view mining. Stop the like mining. Stop it. Yes, I understand your sponsor wants a video. I get it. But get creative and talk about something else. You know? Craziness. It's absolute craziness. You know, it's and people got to understand. I think that people think I'm gearing this towards certain YouTubers. Like, I'm going to exclude so let's exclude a couple people out of this. Obviously, I'm excluding Josh, the RV nerd. He's not in this conversation. Matt's RV reviews, not in this conversation. Jason at RV Miles, not in this conversation. Why? Well, Jason's original. Josh is a salesman. All Josh is doing is what he's pretty much asked to do, which, if I had to be on his schedule, the way he has to film, the way he has to be at events, the way he has to do things, I think I'd go bald. Oh, wait a minute, he already has. Okay? If I was on puppet strings like that, because I pretty much think that's probably how he probably would feel. If privately in his stomach and his heart, he's probably like, what the hell did I get myself into? Right? And Matt, same thing. It's like he's being asked to do things by General RV. Go film this. Go film that. Go film this. Go film that. Go to this event. Go to this factory. Go to this. Go to that. You know, these guys' schedules probably look like a Hollywood star. Probably look like Mr. Beast's schedule. So I exclude those guys from this conversation, right? RV Miles, I exclude him because I'm going to say 95% of his stuff, he comes out with it before anybody else. So, again, excluded. Everybody else is fair game about this conversation. If and you know what? I don't blame the RV YouTuber. Now that I think about it, I don't blame the RV YouTuber. I blame the YouTube growth strategists. I blame vidIQ, TubeBuddy. I blame those guys. Because they're the ones that tell you, well, go find the most viral video in your niche and recreate it with your own spin on it. Maybe that's who I should blame. Maybe I should focus all of my energy on those guys. Like, hey, stop giving people that advice. I'm way over and I need to go do laundry because I'm already half hour behind. So anyway, until next time, guys, remember, toolkit and sense of humor.